Tes tes tes. Apakah aman suaranya? Bentar. Let me listen to it. Let me listen to it. Aduh. Bentar ya, aku dengerin dulu dia dari PC-ku. BTW, welcome Ahmad. Apa kabarnya hari ini? Semoga baik-baik saja. So, dari kemarin-kemarin oke, normal. Jadi kita intro dulu. Get dirty gentlemen, ini mereka kidnap itu bermaling dari Indonesia. Selamat datang pada hari yang kita akan main It Gets So Lonely in Here. Apakah itu It Gets So Lonely in Here? Itu adalah game indie ya. Game indie tentang ciwi-ciwi yandere. Ada 3 ciwi yandere di sini. Ada, seingatku tuh ada Siren ya? Ya, Siren apa Mermaid? I don't know. Ada Siren, ada Ojo sama Ratu gitu ya nih, Ratu ya. Sama ada Grave Digger, tukang apa namanya? Gali kubur. Eyo, halo, welcome to the stream Barato. Apa kabarnya hari ini? Hari ini Eki mau ngedate sama cewek Yandere. Welcome. Oh ya, suara gamenya belum aku munculin. Mana suara gamenya? Kayak game RPG Maker gitu kah atau visual novel? Visual novel dia pakai Renpai kalau nggak salah. Bacanya Renpai nggak sih? Renpai. Kita start ya. Salah. Mana gamenya? You're running through a forest. It is late at night and the sky is as black as pitch. There is nothing to light your way, save for the moon's milky glow, but its rays cannot reach you, not properly. The trees which surround you, jutting out of the earth like eerie monuments to a foreign god, are blotting out most of the light. You cannot see where you are going. Even if you had commenced your flight at a more sensible hour, however, with the light of the sun to aid you, it would be of little use. You do not know where you are going. You have no map, no route, no plan. You are running like a frightened animal, anxious and nervy, with no destination in mind. You have no desire. As you run, safe to escape. You cannot let yourself be caught. If that were to happen, you are certain that you would be ruined. You have no choice, therefore, but to keep going on and on and on, till your feet are screaming at you for mercy. Oh, music sounds nice. Iya, musiknya bagus loh. Ada itu juga, ada download OST-nya juga. Di itunya, di linknya. Apa aku itu ya, aku linknya. Bentar. Ini guys link buat gamenya. Siapa tahu ada yang mau nyoba nanti. Nanti aku masukin deskripsi juga deh. Lupa aku masukin tadi. Nah, mantap. Ntar aku mau lihat, aku mau dengar suaraku lagi udah bagus belum? Soalnya aku trauma banget sumpah yang pas itu, yang pas stream joget. Suara kecil banget. Ntar ya, aku dengerin lagi ya, bentar ya. Wait for a minute. Kok kepotong gambarnya? Bentar. Kok gamenya kepotong? Hold up. Aku ngeliat. Oh alah. Nah, mantap. The
Iya, free, gamenya free. Sangat benar. Bentar ya guys, aku ngetes dulu. Ngetes suara aku lagi. Apakah normal? Baby, now I'm so lonely. Na 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 na. Tuh siapa ya? Lupa aku. Mari kita dengarkan lagi, bentar ya, mohon bersabar. Musiknya aku kurangin dulu. Tidak, streamnya ngelot. Oke. Oke, udah bener lah ya, udah bener lah ya. Mari kita mulai kembali. Mohon maaf atas ketidaknyamanannya. Nah, mantap. Kita kembalikan suaranya. Mana? Game salah. Ya apakah? Apa? Ya normal kok. Tadi aku habis ngetes itu, habis nonton streamku sendiri. Normal sih. It's fine. We're good. Ya kan normal kan? Maksudnya suara aku nggak tenggelam sama BGM-nya, terus nggak itu juga kan? Nggak aneh juga kan? Soalnya yang pas stream ultah juga suara aku agak picking gitu nggak sih? Kayak agak ngebas nggak jelas gitu. Dan aku baru sadar setelah stream, dan pas stream yang Just Dance juga suara aku tidak normal. Soalnya ini normal kan? Iya nggak sih? Dari pendengaranku sih normal ya, nggak tahu kok ntar.
You have no idea how long you have been running. Time has begun to blend together. It has lost all meaning.
Ya aku normal sih, cuman tadi kayak ada sesuatu yang nge-spike. Apa mic-nya kayak itu ya? Soalnya aku mic-nya ini mic headset gitu, terus dicolokin lagi, apa sih namanya? Ada plug port apa sih? Pokoknya yang colokan buat itu lah, buat mic-nya itu nyolok lagi ke headset. Jadi dia tuh mic headset tapi ada colokannya lagi, dicolokan ke headset gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya kegeser dikit dia biasanya ada suara drak-draknya gitu, mohon maaf.
Something sharp snags at the hem of your skirt, but you do not have the luxury to pause and examine what has happened. Instead, you tug. Your skirt tears, the sound splitting through the forest, and you stumble forward with a shocked gasp. You are free, but at what cost?
Ini dikejar apa ya?
Your skirt has been irrevocably damaged. It might be too late to worry about such trivial matters now, though.
Yeah, we play as a lady. Ini European. Aku tidak mau mainin sama temanku sih, katanya bagus. Jadi aku mau nyoba aja. Karena gamenya juga pendek, kalau nggak salah cuman 2-3 jam.
If you do not start running again, and soon she will catch you, then your life will be over. You do not know if she is still following you, but you do not want to risk looking over your shoulder. If you were to see her, silhouette beneath a tree, looking at you with that sickly sweet smile which once ensnared you, you would lose what little nerve you possess. Your legs would lock up, and your blood would freeze in your veins. Then, you would crumble. You would fall, but you would not hit the ground. She would be there to catch you. Did she not promise, when you made that contract, that you would never be alone? You would like to take back that silly wish of yours, but it's too late for that. It is too late or a lot of things. All you can do is run. You run and run and run while icy fog swirls about your feet. It is cold enough to sap the heat from your body, and you shudder from it. It feels as though you are drowning. It feels as though you are being buried alive. Your knees and your shins, meanwhile, are bleeding. You cannot endure much more of this. But if you value your own life, you must. You run and you run and you run until, at long last, you reach a fork in the road. There are 3 paths which split up through the forest. Well, 4 if you count the path which you came. You cannot exactly double back on yourself though, not when you have so much. You have put so much effort into running forwards. You can only press on. The 3 paths are signposts, which is something of a strange sight given you are so deep in the forest. Dark though it might be, you had grown accustomed to the shadows. Damn, so dramatic. What are you running from? Iya kan, bingung. Kayak lari dari siapa? Dari apa gitu kan? What's happening? Ini baru awal-awal. Halo Eki, halo Kuroi Minase. Welcome to the stream. Apa kabarnya hari ini? Panggilannya siapa? Kuroi Minase? Maaf kalau misalnya pernah ngomong panggilan tapi aku lupa. Kuroi ya kayaknya. Oh, Minase. Gitu. You can just pick out the writing on this old dilapidated signpost. Curved and slanted though it is. Your fate, if you forgive me for sounding cliche, is in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Go to the shore, go to the village, go to the castle. Baik, Eki gimana? Baik juga. Makasih udah nanya balik. Jangan lupa makan siang kalau belum. Iya, gak apa-apa, tipu. Ntar minum. Jadi, kalau ke shore nanti ketemu si Duyung. Kalau ke kastil ketemu si Ojo sama Ratu ya. Aku pengen ketemu Grave Digger dulu, jadi mungkin ke village ya. So, you want to go to the village? Good idea. Tapi paling masuk akal emang ke desa nggak sih? Misalnya kamu dikejar orang gitu kan. Kalau kamu ke laut, ntar kamu dibunuh di laut. Mending soy. Kalau ke kastil siapa yang kamu datengin? Nggak tahu kan. Kalau ke desa kan banyak orang gitu, bisa minta tolong. Iya nggak sih? Cuma desanya jahat ya, nggak tahu juga. Let us see what further trials await you there. This night is far from over, as much as you might wish it was, and there is still much and more to discover. I wonder what will happen next. You follow the path which leads to the village, supporting yourself on weary, aching limbs which feel ready, at a moment's notice, to snap at the knee beneath the burden of your way. Iya sih, kan nyari orang. Kalau kastil malah dikira nyari masalah. kita lari dari orang, bukan nyari sih. Kalau ke kastil ya ngapain? Lu orang biasa gitu. Gak ada ngomong dia bangsawan kan. Soalnya kastilnya punya dia gitu. The soles of your feet are screaming at you. You need to lie down, and quickly. You only hope, as you continue to run, that you will find a suitable residence in which to rest at the village. You do not know what will await you at the village, but you have visions as you run up a quaint, scenic settlement. All thatched cottages with sloping roofs. Surely there will be a kindly peasant who will be willing to put up a young runaway for a few nights. I hope so. You can imagine too the face of this kindly peasant from the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child.
I hope so.
She will be broad-shouldered and ruddy-faced, with dull brown hair crammed beneath a cap. Her arms will be sturdy from many years of washing clothes and milking cows. But she will be kind to you and compassionate, just like a mother. You do not know what mothers are like. You hardly ever spoke to yours. You are only guessing. You are not a complete fool, however, despite your tendency to daydream, and you do have a few reservations. Peasants do not, as you know from your voracious reading, have much money, nor do they have much food. It might be hard. It might be hard to convince a resident of the village, even the kindly washerwoman of your fantasies, to take in a complete stranger. Still, you must try. That is all you can do, really.
You do not know what mothers are like. Iya, kesian men. Sebuah lore.
So, you run to the village. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods. But finally, you manage it. You manage it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time had begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares which dwelt within it. It is still cold though, and still foggy. It is still dark too. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon clearly now, though, as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal bar.
Crystal ball. Wait, is the narrator real? I don't know. Nggak tahu posisi naratornya di sini sebagai apa ya. Sebagai orang yang ngomong ke kita. BTW, kemarin rasaku tadi malam gitu ya. Tadi malam juga bulan pertama gak sih? Aku tuh lagi buka pintu gitu kan, terus tiba-tiba ngeliat ke atas. Wow, sangat sangat cerah dan bulat, lingkaran. Jadi ngepas sama IRL nih, lagi purnama juga.
The moonlight shines down upon the village, nestled among the hills like a diorama. Hope anew bubbles within you. Hope anew bubbles within you. You have finally made it. Surely not, but your salvation awaits you. Surely not, but your salvation awaits you.
Wah, tidak memperhatikan semalam. Iya, aku juga kebetulan lagi buka pintu. Soalnya nggak ngikutin juga kan, kayak cycle bulan tuh nggak ngikutin gitu.
You follow the winding dirt path to the village, looking this way and that. But your hope, such a precious, fragile thing, soon begins to fade. The village, up close, does not look as welcoming as you imagine. There are cottages, yes, but they are in a state of disrepair. There are holes in the roofs and holes in the windows. Most of the doors are tightly shut, but others are gaping open. The kitchens beyond them even darker than the night sky which shrouds you. There are no lights on in any of the windows, and neither can you see any people, insomniacs like you, at them. You cannot hear anything either, beyond the sound of your own footsteps and the low mournful sighing of the wind. The village is quite quiet, eerily so. It is immediately obvious, even to a naive girl such as herself, that something terrible must have befallen this village. You know before you try your luck at one of the houses that nobody will answer you. There will be no kindly red-armed washerwoman to welcome you here, no matter how much you wish for it.
Kenapa ngarepnya? Wanita tukang cuci.
But that does not stop you from wishing regardless. Your knuckles rap smartly against the wooden door.
Punten. Punten, your efforts soon prove, however,
to be in vain. There is nobody here to hear your entreaties.
Entreaties, nggak tahu bacanya. Hey, halo Stick, apa kabar? Jangan lupa makan kalau belum. Welcome to the stream. Aku sedang bermain VN Yandere. Kenapa aku ngomongnya bermelodi? Nggak tahu.
How very sad.
You try another door, punten.
Then another,
Punten.
but the result is the same regardless of how many doors you rap upon.
Jadi kita nge-rap di depan pintu atau rap itu istilah buat ngetok ya? Aku nggak tahu. New, apa ya? Istilah baru.
Nobody answers you. How could they?
Entreaties, I learned a new word today. Iya kan bahasanya tuh ada yang agak tidak umum gitu. Eki bingung suaranya bermelodi. Aku bingung kenapa suaranya kecil. Kecil lagi kah? Halo, hai. Apakah suaraku masih kecil? Halo, tes. Halo, masih kecil nggak? Masih kecil nggak dibandingkan gamenya deh kalau nggak. Halo, hai, halo, 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 hai, 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 halo, hai. Kalian nyanyi nge-rap di depan pintu orang. Hei para penduduk, bolehkah aku masuk ke rumahmu? Gitu di depan pintu orang tengah malam. I don't know, I think I'm just deaf. Really? Wait, no, don't say that to yourself, bro. Aku tes lagi, ntar aku dengerin lagi deh punya aku ya, ntar. Maaf guys, aku trauma gara-gara kemarin guys. Jadi aku akan dengarkan lagi. Windows volumeku 60, YouTube udah kupulin pakai headset dem. Men, ntar aku dengarkan sendiri dulu. Wait for a minute or 2 or 3, I don't know. Please wait. Para di Chihuahua. Heya. Kedengar udah aku matiin. 1 second has passed. Jangan dihitung. Bentar masih loading streamnya. Bentar ban. Diapain ya? Bingung. Volumenya udah full sih, mic-ku udah volume full sih, but I don't know man. Baca dihitung dong ah. Gimana sih? Apa nggak pakai noise gate? Kalau nggak pakai noise gate ntar berisik banget kedengaran. Bentar, diapain ya? Tambah aja kah desibelnya? Coba aku tambah, I don't know, tambah 3 deh, 3,0. Hai, halo, 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 hai, halo, halo, hai, halo, halo, hai, halo, tes, halo, halo, tidak, halo, 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 kartu, halo, semuanya halo, hai, halo, hai, hai, halo, 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 hai, halo, halo, hai. Soalnya kalau di PC itu ya suaranya Eki emang kecil ya, emang semua orang nge-200-in kalau PC sama aku. Nggak tahu, soalnya tuh dari drivernya tuh udah aku itu kan, udah aku maksimalin volumenya kan. Cuman pas di itu pas naon namanya, pas di output input ya namanya, output ya. Pas di outputnya jadi kecil gitu, nggak tahu kenapa. Aku juga bingung, ini udah itu loh, udah berganti PC loh. Ya PC-nya masih sama sih speknya, cuman ganti aja. Agak itulah, agak baruan dikit yang ini. masih sama aja masalahnya gitu. Jadi aku bingung, ini masalahnya gara-gara emang headsetku apa gara-gara PC-nya, nggak tahu juga. Kayaknya mic-nya deh. Tapi aku sempat pakai mic lain kan. Aku ada mic yang itu, ada mic USB. Cuman nggak tahu kenapa lebih bermasalah yang itu, karena suka itu suaranya suka serodotan apa sih? Suka zret-zret gitu, ada suara satisnya, jadi belum aku pakai lagi kan. Yang itu juga kecil gitu, walaupun udah diatur-atur juga masih kecil, jadi aku bingung. Wih, ntar aku dengerin dulu suaraku. Bentar ya. Halo, kenapa loadingnya lama? Ayolah internet, kuatkanlah dirimu. Udah kali ya, udah gak sih? Nggak tahu aku. Atau ngecengin lagi jadi 6 desibel. 6 desibel. 6. Tes, hai, ini 6 desibel. Eki yang lebih kencang suaranya, I don't know. Mari kita dengarkan kembali. Haruskah aku dengarkan kembali atau sudah aman saja? Halo? Tes, halo, tes. Kembali lagi bersama Eki di studio apa nggak tahu. Nggak tahu liriknya. Kayaknya 6 desibel gak ada bedanya deh. Kayak sama aja di telingaku. Aku juga kalau itu apa sih namanya, kalau lagi itu juga, kalau lagi rekaman juga biasanya suaraku kecil deh. Cuman gak sekecil di stream, I don't know why man. Yaudah lah ya, gitu aja ya. Kita lanjut. We're continuing this thing.
Nobody answers you, how could they?
Oh lupa nutup Discord. Ada suaranya. Bentar. Ada suara Discord guys. Tadi aku habis promosi stream. Nyem.
Once again, you have found yourself all alone. At least you have found some dwellings in which you can rest your very head. Will you utilize one of these cottages for your purpose? Nobody is here, you might as well. But no, an abandoned cottage is not what you are looking for. You would far rather have companionship, would you not?
Aku nyampe cek Discordku sendiri. Lupa guys.
Bravely, you swallow your tears. You wipe your eyes with the back of your arm in a well-practiced motion. Then inhale. You square your shoulders, and you keep on going. Surely, the village cannot be completely deserted. Deserted. There must be one person here, at the very least, who can help you. That is what you are thinking as you resume your search. You flee from cottage to cottage with precious little to show for your determination until you make yet another discovery.
Wanjay, suaranya serem. Bentar, kecilin dulu. Kenceng banget.
This village, with its squat thatched cottages, bathed in the moon's glow, has a church. Well, of course it has a church. The villagers who once dwelt here were not godless heathens. Not that their fate did them all that much good in the end.
Kaget. Iya kaget jadi kenceng. Apa kecilin dari settingnya ya? Bentar. Kalau di kencengan aku kecilin nih dari setting. Ya aku juga kencengan soalnya. Udah gedein volume buat denger suara Eki terkecil BGM game. Masih kenceng nggak? Apa kecilin lagi? Ini aku kecilin lagi nih. Nih segini nih, aman nggak? Iya musiknya tiba-tiba gede banget.
Still, the sight of the church suits your overtaxed heart. You were so focused on your fantasies of a kindly washerwoman taking you in. You did not pause to entertain the fancy of a kindly nun doing much the same.
Dia tipenya sangat itu ya, sangat jelas ya. Cuman mau sama ciwi kang cuci, nggak mau sama sister.
All hope is not lost. You approach the church, which seems to tower over you despite it being so humble. The church is a small one, but it is stout and sturdy. It must be, for it has withstood centuries, forever standing, sentinel, on this hill, like a relic from a bygone era. The church does not have any stained glass windows, but it does not need them. Even without more luxurious trappings, the church still exudes an aura of dignified solemnity. The stone building is fringed by a sizable graveyard, one which occupies the rest of the hilltop, and some of its sloping sides.
Tipenya cewek yang caringnya, iya. Cewek yang keibuan karena dia mommy issue. Tapi kalau sister gitu biasanya kalau di anime-anime ya tipe-tipenya yang onesan itu juga nggak sih? Tipe yang onesan pengertian gitu.
The graves which have been planted by generations of wardens are hewn from a similar stone to that which the church walls are made of. Some of the gravestones are shaped like lozenge, nggak tahu, while others are shaped like crosses. A handful of headstones are even shaped like angels, though these are few and far between. There are very few people in a village such as this one who can afford such luxurious final resting places. You look at the tombstones with an almost childlike curiosity, forgetting in your examination of the visceral heart-rending fear which grips you as you run through the forest. You are out of the woods now, and you have, subconsciously, already begun to relax. You try to read the names hewn into the myriad tombstones, but it is dark and you are tired. And some of these graves are very, very old indeed. You strain your eyes, but you do not have much luck in this endeavor. Oh well, such superfluous details are not important. You eventually tire of examining the graves and turn. This graveyard is an expensive one, unusually so, given the village itself is so small. How can it boast so many corpses? And there is much to explore. You walk about the perimeter of the church, casting your gaze first here, then there, then everywhere, consumed as you are by your immense, all-encompassing curiosity. And, as you do, you see her. Akhirnya ketemu orang.
Anjay, hai Ciwi.
She looks like an ordinary girl, small and scrawny, just like herself. But she is much, much more than her unremarkable appearance might suggest. For some moments you observe her, hiding, all the while in the shadow cast by the church, like a furtive lizard clinging against a rocky edifice to shroud itself from the sun. There is no sunlight here though. There is only the night sky and the stars, and the moon. Beneath the moon's light, a silvery implement the girl is clutching shimmers. A silvery implement the girl is clutching shimmers. It takes you a few moments to see what it is that the girl is clutching in her hands. It is not until you see her manipulate it, its sharp edge biting into the earth, that you understand.
Bentar, suara efeknya kecilan. Dia lagi menggali, guys.
It is a shovel. This girl is standing in an isolated corner of the churchyard, late at night, and she is digging a grave. Well, I suppose she could always be digging a hole for the sake of it, but her words seem much too precise for this to be the result of mere whimsy. It is hard for you to see her face, given the distance between the pair of you, but her posture is one that speaks of supreme concentration. She moves slowly, mechanically, like a woman on a mission, driving the end of her shovel into the earth over and over.
Mungkin menggali harta karun. Ya biasanya zaman dulu tuh itu nggak sih? Katanya kadang kuburannya tuh ditaruhin harta kekayaan gitu nggak sih? Kayak harta kekayaan si orangnya tuh ditaruh di kuburannya kalau nggak salah. Jadi zaman dulu tuh biasanya ada orang-orang tuh gali kubur gitu. Dia tuh ngambilin harta-hartanya orang. Soalnya kan kalau orang udah dikubur kan nggak ada yang ngecek lagi kan. Mau kamu taruh emas berapa biji situ juga nggak mungkin juga kan, misalnya keluarganya gitu taruh emas berapa biji-biji gitu, nggak mungkin mereka gali kuburnya lagi kan buat ngecekin oh emasnya masih ada, nggak kan. Jadi ya makes sense I guess, menggali harta karun nggak salah.
Her motions are regular enough to be repetitive. There is something hypnotic, almost, in the manner in which she attempts this task. Should you risk interrupting her? Do you dare? You get the feeling that she would not appreciate it. The shovel in her hands, meanwhile, is rather hefty. If she wished it, she could cause you no small amount of damage with it.
Ow. Itulah kenapa Egyptian is superior, you build a pyramid for that. Iya. Jadi kalau orang mau maling harta kekayaan harus itu dulu, harus lewatin piramid dulu guys. sulit. Kalau ini dia ya grave digging pun sudah terambil harta kekayaan. Tapi ya tradisi tiap kultur ya beda sih. So yeah, I guess. Tapi aku nggak tahu orang-orang berhenti naruh harta di dalam kubur sejak kapan. Kalau di barat ya setidaknya. Aku belum riset sih soal itu. Jadi aku nggak tahu.
Cold anxiety makes your skin prickle. You do not know if you should risk speaking to her when she, in her dark cloak, with her shovel, looks so very strange.
Cloaknya nggak gelap, cloaknya warna hijau militer. Nggak gelap banget sih, cuman gelap gara-gara lagi malam aja.
But what do you have left to lose? You have come this far. It would be folly to turn back now. It is with this thought in your mind that you decide to approach this strange girl. Your footsteps are quiet. Have grown accustomed to slinking around like a cat, but they are not quiet enough. The girl's senses must be finely tuned, because she blinks. Jing. Then she turns. Hi, Chiwi. Your eyes meet, and once they do feel your breath catch in your throat.
Ini mentang-mentang sama pakai cloak dan warna hijau jadi milih rute dia kah? Enggak sih, cuman kalau dari tiga ciwinya paling suka ini karena sama-sama outlaw. It takes an outlaw to know another outlaw, okay. Satu maling, satunya akan gali kubur. Maling juga sih, cuman malingnya di kuburan orang, beda. Ntar.
Your eyes meet, and once they do, you feel your breath catch in your throat. You did not have a clear view of the girl before, concealed as you were in the shadows. But now she's looking at you. You can tell that she is pretty.
Anjay.
Her skin is very smooth, and her hair, though obscured by a dark hood, is very fair. Her eyes, meanwhile, are a clear, cool blue, like ice. Those eyes of hers, which are large with unease, are fringed with very long, bare eyelashes. She looks as though she has stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She is simply too perfect to belong to this world. Perhaps she is some kind of vision, a waking dream, a hallucination. But no, she is none of those things. The shovel she is clutching in her hands looks solid enough, its pointed tip glittering wickedly in the moonlight.
Oh ya BTW, ini tadi ada beberapa trigger warningnya, aku lupa ngomong di awal. Jadi trigger warningnya tadi drowning pertama, tenggelam. Kedua, being buried alive, dikubur hidup-hidup. Ketiga, kanibalisme. Terus keempat, bullying, pembulian. Kelima, illness, penyakit. Terus terakhir, page references to homophobia. Jadi ada sedikit hint homofobianya. Jadi kalau misalnya nggak kuat, ya nanti mungkin pasiennya bisa step out dulu. Kalau buat yang ini kayaknya dikubur hidup-hidup sih. Kalau ngomongin dikubur hidup-hidup tuh aku keinget ceritanya Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe. Lah bad endingnya ngeri-ngeri, iya. Jadi di Edgar Allan Poe itu ada cerita pendek tentang orang Itali gitu ya. Orang Italinya tuh mereka kerja sama soal alkohol, tapi dia tuh nggak suka sama temennya karena temennya tuh sombong atau apa gitu lah, pokoknya ngerendahin dia gitu. Jadi dia kayak ada dendam gitu, kalau nggak salah. Judulnya apa ya, lupa gue. Terus dia ngomong gitu sama temennya kayak, bro, gue dapet bir mahal nih, bir sih, alkohol mahal nih. Terus kayak temennya tuh kayak dengan keelitisannya tuh kayak, mana aku mau lihat, aku mau nilai sendiri gitu seberapa bagus gitu si alkoholnya. Jadi mereka pergi ke apa sih, pemakaman bawah tanah tuh apa sih namanya? Pokoknya adalah si MC-nya tuh punya pemakaman bawah tanah keluarganya gitu. Jadi dia bilang, aku nyimpan alkoholnya di sana gitu. Jadi habis itu dia sama si temannya tuh, si MC-nya sama temennya pergi ke sana. Terus si temennya tuh kan sana dingin kan ya, namanya juga pemakaman dan bawah tanah. Jadi dingin gitu. Panas ya, kalau bawah tanah panas gak sih? Nggak tahu sih. Pokoknya gitu katanya dingin lah di bawah sini. Terus dia bawa beberapa alkohol gitu kan buat si temennya gitu. Katakum ya bacanya. Terus jadi dia bawa gitu kan berapa alkohol gitu buat dikasih ke temannya, nih biar badan kamu anget tau, biar agak mabok gitu kan. Pokoknya mereka jauh lah jalan gitu, jalan. Terus sudah di ujung gitu kayak si dia tuh ngomong gitu, si MC-nya, nih di dalam sini nih si alkoholnya gitu. Temennya masuk, terus habis itu dia timpa temennya pakai apa sih, temennya tuh dia ikat kalau nggak salah ke dinding di apa sih, di rantai gitu. Apa diapain ya, lupa aku. Pokoknya habis itu si dindingnya ditutup lah sama dia, jadi si temennya nggak bisa keluar dari sana. Jadi technically dikubur hidup-hidup, I guess. Karena nggak bisa keluar kan, dia juga keikat gitu. Udah. Yang menariknya dari ceritanya itu ceritanya tuh kayak zaman sekarang dia datengin si katakumnya lagi pas udah agak bertahun-tahun gitu. Tapi POP-nya tuh kayak sambil flashback gitu. Jadi pas kalau baca pertama tuh agak bingung, ini tuh itu lagi apa gitu, lagi ngapain gitu, kok tiba-tiba begini cerita endingnya gitu. Jadi menurutku menarik sih, bikin berpikir. Ntar aku lupa judulnya. Edgar Allan, bacanya tuh Poe apa Poe? Kataku. Oh ya, The Cast of Amontillado. Nih. Mana sih? Ini kalau ada yang mau baca. Oke. Sekian intermezzonya. Mari kita lanjut ke gamenya. Nah, ceritanya menarik sih. Jadi ngomong kepikiran.
The shovel she is clutching in her hands looks solid enough, its pointed tip glittering wickedly in the moonlight. You still yourself, expecting, perhaps, some sort of outburst. But the tension soon drains from the girl's slender shoulders. Her fingers, which once were grip the handle of her shovel tightly, relax.
Oke. Aman? Disenyumin. Her lips curve upwards at the edges. Tis, Anda sangat refine sekali ya. Sebenarnya aku kalau lewat sesuatu ya, kalau menarik ya aku baca aja. Cuman sebenarnya aku masih kehitung dikit sih bacanya. Cuman kalau misalnya aku tahu kayak ketemu gitu baru baca. Kalau buat nyari sendiri, baca sendiri gitu aku masih apa ya, biasanya nyari mood gitu loh. Kayak kadang aku pengen baca ini gitu. Cuman magernya kebanyakan. Tapi yang ini menarik sih. Aku suka cerita sih sebenarnya. So ya, I guess I don't know. Tapi buat pujian setinggi itu kayaknya belum.
Her lips curve upwards at the edges. She is smiling, and what a smile it is. It is transformative.
Hah? Senyum transformatif?
When she smiles, she looks radiant, angelic almost. Hers is a smile that is so suffused with light that your eyes begin to prickle from it. You are so relieved, you almost feel as if you could cry. It would not be the first time you have wept during this night, and neither would it be too surprising if you did. You have been through a lot. You must be exhausted. The girl holding the shovel seems to realize this, because she bridges distance between you cautiously, as one might approach a skittish cat. Then, she says in a rough voice, which does not match her dainty appearance, "Well, she does live in a rural village. What were you expecting?"
Suara yang agak rap gitu gimana ya? Suara cewek imut tapi rap. Oh, gitu. Oh, suara-suara.
Oh, it's good, so good to see another person. I was afraid I was the only person left alive, the only one in the whole world. Now, this is quite an effusive greeting. Effusive apa lagi?
There's so many strange words, I don't even know.
Her introductory speech is riddled with exclamation marks. She is rather more personable than her apparel would make one suggest. You, a well-bred young lady, cannot help but feel overwhelmed. It is your turn now to be on your guard. Anxiously, you observe the girl with the shovel, and you ask her what she means. What happened? Oh, do you not know? There is an awful lot you do not know. So much, in fact, it would fill a whole encyclopedia. No, a whole library. You shake your head, ashamed at your ignorance, and the girl frowns.
I didn't know this game is just a full test. Benar, adalah benar. Kayaknya TOEFL test gak susah ini deh. I'm pretty sure TOEFL test gak susah ini. Aku belum tes bahasa Inggris sih. Cuman aku cukup yakin bahasa Inggrisnya gak setinggi ini. Itu juga yang tadi Edgar Allan Poe juga bahasanya pusing banget kan. Mana itu lagi pakai istilah alkohol kan. Aku juga bingung gitu. Alkoholnya tuh kira nama orang. Soalnya Sherry namanya kan, Sherry. Tulisannya Sherry. Aku kan gak hafal nama alkoholnya. Tulisan alkoholnya tuh Sherry. Jadi Sherry kayak nama cewek. Kenapa ngomongin si cewek ini terus tapi ceweknya nggak ada? Oh, alkohol bukan cewek.
You mustn't be from around these parts. I guess I should have known. This village is a small one, and everybody knows everybody else. The girl's expression falls. At least, they used to. Back when there was still people to know. That ain't the case now, though. Not after the plague. There was a plague? That would certainly explain why the village, when you walk through it, was so quiet. Did everybody else succumb to this mysterious illness? That's right, it's just me here now. I've not seen a human being in a long, long time. It gets so lonely here. Now, that is an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside your head like a burr. Have you heard it before? You do not have much time to ponder this, however, because the girl takes a step towards you. Oh, but where are my manners? They must have gone rusty after being on my own for so long. My apologies, miss. You look like you've come a long way. You said you were a traveler, yes? And your hands are very cold, just like ice. Would you like to come inside? Maybe have something warm to eat and to drink? My home's small, I'm afraid, and I might put in nothing fancy, but I would more than willing to share. It's not every day another girl stops by, especially not one as pretty as yourself. I'm feeling pretty blessed. The girl laughs, a carefree, airy sort of laugh, which does not match your initial impression of her. Gimana ya tawa iri? Gitu. Kayak ketawa itu, kayak ketawanya Cat dari Victorious. Gitu kan ketawanya nih. I'm Cat and I'm cat walking. Gitu. You thought, when you saw her among the grapes, that she would be more distant, somehow, and more mysterious. Perhaps you are mixing her up with somebody else. Siapa nih? Yang tadi ngejar kita kah? You are still unsure if you can trust this girl, but her invitation is an appealing one. It is much more appealing, certainly, than spending the night outdoors, in the cold, keeping on the grapes. What are you? A romantic poet? Poet? Oh, come, poet. Poet. A romantic poet? Please. You make a show of pondering the girl's invitation. At the very least, you do not want to appear too eager, but your bahasa apa ini ya? Acquiescence is Alice, and an inevitability. Why would you ever refuse her? She is the first friendly face you have seen all night. Without her, you would be all alone.
Yeay, kita pulang ke rumah orang yang tidak dikenal.
Your hostess leads you to a small, humble home, located but a stone's throw away from the church, built in the shadows of a twisted, towering sycamore. The girl's home is in such a state, it seems a folly to even call it a home. Hovel would, to you, be the more appropriate descriptor.
Hovel? Hovel tuh nama jenis gubuk kah? I don't know.
But when your hostess leads you inside, her eyes alive, and she says, "Here we are, home sweet home.
You don't have the heart to tell her that you don't find her home very homey or very sweet. Jadi kita nih kaum terpelajar lah ya ceritanya. That would be incredibly rude. Pemakaian bahasanya sangat rumit benar, tapi MC-nya orang terpelajar jadi ya oke lah. Dapat dimengerti ya. As a guest, you ought to be more appreciative. Half-heartedly, you look around your newfound surroundings. The ceiling is supported by wooden joists, and it is perilously low. Not so much that you are in danger of bumping your head, but just enough to feel claustrophobic. There is a fire in the corner, though it is not consigned to a grate. Consigned apa? The fire, instead, is blazing in the open, a circle of logs, set like a scene from a witch kitchen. Above the fire hangs a silvery pot, suspended from one of the wooden eaves. Other objects of interest are hung from the eaves. Iron implements used to take to be cooking utensils, various herbs, and strips of meat left to cure. The smell of cooking fills the air, mingled with the sharp, sour scent of unwashed bodies. Belum mandi, guys. How, you wonder, does your hostess clean herself? You do not see a bathtub anywhere. Perhaps she does not possess one. The girl's home is unremarkable in every regard, but it is, you suppose, better than nothing. Biasanya zaman dulu pakai public house sih, kalau kaum proletarnya pakai public house dulu, jadi mandinya bareng-bareng. Setahu aku ya. Cuman pas zaman Renaissance di mana gitu, di Roma, kalau nggak salah ya, sempet di ban gitu karena ya prostitution stuff I guess. Malah salah gunakan bathhouse-nya. Soalnya zaman medieval gitu ada itunya, ada slogannya gitulah soal cleanliness, soal kebersihan. Jadi ya masih mandi sih mereka. The girl's home is unremarkable. Oh berarti. Tapi emang di village kayak gini ada public bathhouse, nggak tahu. Mandi di kali mungkin bisa kan orang desa mandi di kali ya nggak sih? Nggak tahu sih kalau di barat gimana. Cuman kalau di sini kan biasanya mandinya di kali kan. At least there is a roof over your head and food to put in your belly. The girl looks to the pot suspended over the fire, which she gives a stir with a ladle. Then she brings the ladle to her hips to taste whatever concoction she has brewing within it. Bajunya bagus. Dia ngalungin apa? Ngalungin dagger apa itu? Nggak tahu. Ini nih, kayak dagger. You can only hope that she is not like the weird sisters from that famous play, brewing a broth with penny snake pellets. Apa tuh? Play apa tuh? Aku nggak tahu itu play apa. What weird sisters? I don't know. Yes, I think this is just about done, the girl says, to nobody in particular. She sets the ladle down, back into the pot, then looks to you and smiles. Do you want something? It looks as though you've come quite a long way and you must be hungry. These words are like music to your ears, even more divine than the trumpets of God's most loyal angels. You are so hungry, you could eat a horse. A horse? Not that there are any horses in the immediate vicinity. You express your interest to your hostess, who smiles in response. I thought you would like the sound of that. Just give me a few moments. Your hostess Your hostess retrieves two earthenware bowls from a cupboard with rickety hinges, into which she pours two hefty helpings of whatever it is she is cooking. This she served with bread, which is so hefty it could be used as a murder weapon. Suruh makan kenyang-kenyang, guys. It's not much, I'm afraid. It's only soup and bread. It should take the edge off your appetite, though. You thank your hostess for her hospitality, your stomach's rumbling all the while. This soup does not look like anything you would typically consume, but this soup's poor presentation does not dissuade you. It is true enough that people eat first with their eyes, but when one is hungry enough, one becomes obliging enough to eat almost anything. Rotinya keras, iya. Dibikin seadanya. Soalnya dulu juga biasanya kan mereka tuh nitip tepung ke tukang roti, terus minta dipanggangin kan. Karena yang punya pemanggangan kan open dulu kan cuma tukang roti. Jadi biasanya kalau zaman dulu tuh mereka nitip roti gitu. Nitip tepung gitu, minta dibikinin. Jadi rotinya enak. Kalau bikin sendiri kan pakai alat seadanya aja. Why else do you think that people, when stranded upon desert islands, will resort to cannibalism? Humans are creatures of necessity. You like to wrap yourselves up in pretensions, but in actuality, you are not much better than animals. You are so hungry, your stomach is achingly empty, that you certainly descend upon your food like an animal. Your teeth glint, your incisors gleam. Incisors apa? And soon, you have consumed all that your hostess has offered you. Your hostess watches while you eat, and she giggles once you have finished. Did you enjoy that? Oh. You catch your hostess' gaze, suddenly abashed. You were so hungry you failed to account for her judgment. Now you have some food in your belly though, and you have been suitably warm. Your old self-consciousness is returning. Did you not make a fool out of yourself? You demur shyly, looking at your lap, fearful all the while of what your hostess might think of you. Incisors kayak gigi depan kalau nggak salah. Oh gigi depan tuh apa? Gigi geraham ya? Gigi geraham tuh mana sih? Gigi depan lah pokoknya. Thank you for the information. Aku taunya itu karena pernah dengar dulu. Lumayan lah kita dapat info baru. You do not want her to take against you. Fortunately for you, however, and for your fragile ego, your hostess is not a judgmental sort. She is not like the girls you grew up with. Not like other girls. Yes. Yes, queen. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's nice to see my food being appreciated so heartily. Gimana sih suara Airi? It's nice to see my food being appreciated so heartily. Gitu. Aneh. Gitu kan lebih cocok gitu kan suaranya rap gitu kan.
I know, I'm not the best, but I've been practicing for a long while. I used to cook for my father all the time, you see. This remark catches your attention. Quizzically, you look at your hostess. Your abashment over your animalistic eating habits suspended. What happened to her father? It seems a grim thing to contemplate after having eaten, but didn't your hostess mention something about the plague? Yes, your hostess says, her voice soft now and serious. That's right, there was a plague. And what of the villagers? What of her father? They are all gone now. Gone?
Yeah, you see, your hostess rearranges herself upon her chair, one slender leg folded over the other. Then she begins her tale in earnest. My family has a history. We've lived here for centuries by the church, thus we can tend to the graveyard. Ah, so this abode is centuries old then? It would certainly explain the dirt. My father used to prepare bodies for burial back when he was alive. He built the coffins, and he dug the graves, and he lowered the coffins into the dirt. I know, it might sound like an awful job, but somebody's gotta do it. There's no sense in averting our eyes from that, not when it happens to the best of us. It's a noble profession, one that's been handed down in our family for generations. Jadi apa sih, mortician ya? Mortician itu apa sih bahasa lainnya? Pokoknya yang ngurus itu lah, ngurus orang mati lah ya, keluarganya. Mortician tuh apa ya nama lainnya? Kerjaannya sih tahu loh itu. Funeral parlor. Ya. My father's father was a grave digger, and so was my father's father's father, and my father's 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 father. Digging graves isn't all that. It's who we are. My. That was a surprisingly pretty speech, coming from a girl who lives in the countryside. A girl who is without much in the way of education. It is apparent, just to listen to her, and the way she slurs her syllables together, that she has never had any elocution lessons. Not like you. There is a determination, however, to her, and a pride in her genealogy which give her a respectable aura. You cannot help but be impressed. So, you ask your hostess, does that make her one in a long line of grave diggers? Yes, your hostess, the grave digger, says. That's about right, though I was never supposed to be a grave digger myself. It's not a woman's profession. That's what everybody says. My father didn't mind that though. He taught me everything he knew, and then some. I might be a woman, but I have plenty of upper body strength. I can dig a grave just as well as my father could, without breaking a sweat. To the despair of my mother up in heaven, I'm sure. I'm sure, if she were still alive, she would rather I focus on more feminine pursuits, like basket weaving or sewing, to better attract a suitor. Not that that would do much good now. There's nobody around who would court me, not for miles and miles. And what happened to her mother? She died when I was very young, during childbirth. I was only 5 years old. Oh well, berarti punya adik. You can relate to her, at least, upon this point. Your parents are not dead, at least. Not as far as you are aware. But you have not seen them in an awfully long time. Oh, jadi ortunya masih ada, cuman jarang ketemu. They sent you away as soon as you were old enough, and they never once bothered to check up on you. Wadaw. Parenting 101. For many years, there have been no letters, nor any visit. You offer the grave digger your condolences. You do not know if they will help, but you feel like you cannot say nothing. They would seem heartless. The grave digger, however, does not seem too upset by this turn of events, because he smiles, albeit somberly. Beneran MC-nya parent issue, iya. Kesian banget. It's alright, it was ages ago. I don't remember her too well, and I've never really had the luxury of sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I had too much work to do. Ntar minum dulu. Bentar. Dah.
Around the house, you ask?
That too. I was the oldest child, so it was my job. After my mother died, to manage the sweeping and the cooking. Oh, and looking after all of my siblings too.
You blink, intrigued, then glance about your hostess' humble lodgings. You do not see any siblings in the immediate vicinity. Where could they be? The gravedigger must have noticed your roving eyes. You are not being exactly subtle, because she shakes her head. I had siblings, 2 younger brothers. They're both gone now. Oh, you should have known. You apologize to the gravedigger for your lack of tact, but she does not seem upset by this poll pass. Don't apologize, it's not your fault. My brothers weren't long for this world anyway. The youngest, he died when he was still a babe, and the oldest, he died before he reached double digits. Oh, berarti si cewek ini udah 20-an umurnya, 20 ke atas. I was upset about it at the time, of course, but I've come to terms with it. Life's a fleeting thing in this wicked old world. That's something you learn in the street. Digging graves, I mean. I've dug graves for the elderly and the infirm, but I've also dug graves for young babes still in their swaddling clothes. That's the nature of death. It comes for all of us in the end, no matter how old we are, no matter how much money we have, no matter how good or bad we've been. It's the great equalizer. Jadi filosofis. Or so I've heard. A chill creeps down your spine as you listen to your hostess speech. For legal reason dia 20 ke atas ya lol. Iya. Ya mukanya masih muda banget. She is not wrong, but the inherent mortality of all humankind is not something you wish to contemplate. It is too disturbing. For the longest of times, my family was a small one. It was just my father and me, but that was fine. It was how I like it. Double digits berarti belum 10 tahun. Salah. Double digits berarti belum 10 tahun, di bawah 10 tahun. Nggak tahu umurnya berapa. Tapi kalau dari tampang mungkin 16-18an, nggak tahu. Kelihatan masih muda soalnya. I was very happy, even if our lives weren't the best. I've never had any fancy clothes to wear, and we can dine on the finest of foods. In the grand schemes of things, we ain't anything that special. But I've always felt otherwise. Ya, harus bersyukur ya guys, sama apa yang ada. I thought that I was blessed. We knew hardship, of course, and famine, but that's just the way life is around here. When food supplies were low, we always helped one another out. I had my father, but I also had the rest of the village. We all look after one another, and things always work out in the end. At least, they did. Until the plague happened. Yes, she had mentioned a plague. You had been wondering when she was going to return to that topic. Ya, pasti traumatik sih buat dia. Walaupun dia mencoba tegar gitu kan. You suppose that the plague is the reason that the village, as you traverse it, was so very empty? You suppose, right? The plague tore through the village. I don't remember when. It feels like it was a while ago, but maybe it wasn't all that long after all. It feels like I've been on my own for centuries, but your hostess' eyes begin to cloud over. She looks as though she is entranced within her own memories. What could she be remembering? You have never seen a plague before, though you have heard of them in your history lesson. Your history professor was quite enthusiastic about the subject. She talks about piles of dead bodies stacked up on the streets and stacked up in the wooden carts come to take them away, with the shortage of a plum apa. She was a strange woman, your history professor.
jangan dia udah hidup lama emang, dan emang si plague-nya si wabahnya emang udah lewat lama mungkin ya, soalnya si MC-nya nggak tahu apa-apa soal ada wabah gitu kan. Terus si profesornya juga ngomongin gitu soal wabah. Kalau wabah yang ngikutin IRL ya kemungkinan wabah itu sih, wabah pas abad pertengahan. Ini antara masih abad pertengahan atau udah zaman Renaissance. Cuman kalau dari pakaian si ceweknya ya emang agak panas sih, modern sedikit lah ya. Cuman kalau dibilang lebih mirip ke medieval atau lebih mirip ke Renaissance, menurutku lebih condong ke Renaissance sih baju dia. Jadi ini teori. Jadi ya bisa aja si cewek ini stuck gitu, kayak stuck in a time apa ya? I don't know time apa. History teacher juga ya. Nggak ada yang ngomongin gurunya tuh lumayan passionate lah soal ngomongin wabah. The plague came on very suddenly. There was no warning. One day everyone was fine, and the next they were all dead. It is with no small amount of anxiety that you ID a grave digger. Or she is somehow immortal. Iya, bisa jadi deh immortal. Kayaknya iya deh. Soalnya semua orang mati kecuali dia kan. Pasti ada sesuatunya. Then you ask, worriedly, surely they could not all have died? Is that not an exaggeration? Oh, if only. I wish I was exaggerating. But it's the truth. Honest to God. The people in the village died, one after the other, just like that. I saw what the plague does to people firsthand. My father was one of the first people who caught it. I think one of the bodies which came through that we buried must have had it. Not that I know for certain, I'm just guessing. Still, my father didn't have an easy time of it. His skin turned all gray and clammy, and he complained about horrible fever. There were night sweats and stomach cramps. And then there were boils. There were the boils. The boils? Pustules. They were the size of eggs. And pustules apa? Pustules. They were the size of eggs and they were full of pus. When they birthed, it stung. The whole house was full of it. The sting of death. The wise woman of the village came to see if she could be of any use. But it was no good. My father was too far gone already. She took one look at him, lying on his deathbed, and she shook her head. She said she didn't want to get any closer. I can't say I blame her. It was a ghastly sight. I didn't appreciate it at the time though. It felt like she was turning her back on us. Ya, kalau dia deket-deket juga ntar kena nggak sih? Ya ujungnya dia kena juga sih. Mungkin gara-gara dia nyoba nolong orang juga kan. Cuman kalau dia deket-deket pada saat itu ya dia bisa kena lebih cepet. Pustules itu yang kayak benjolan yang ada nanahnya. Oh, okay. The more you learn. I learned many things today. I wish her ill. I remember that after she left. Didoain. Until a few days passed, and she fell sick too. Then I felt bad for cursing her. I couldn't help but worry if it was all my fault. It's silly, I know, but the gravedigger closes her eyes. She seems to squeeze her lids together until her lashes melt like flecks of fallen snow. Her shoulders, which are very slender, are shaking. She looks as taut she might, at any moment, fall apart. It wasn't long after that the rest of the village fell ill. They all had the same symptoms as my father: the clammy skin, the fever, and the boils. The boils grew, then they burst, and then they died in screaming, stinking agony. My father died too, only 3 days after he fell ill. But I think even that was 3 days too many. I didn't want my father to die, of course. I did everything I could to help him, but it was all pointless. None of my herbal helps had any impact. I couldn't make a blind bit of difference. Iya, dulu mereka kan obatnya obat-obat herbal gitu. Setelah diteliti sekarang katanya yang obat herbal yang mereka pakai memang kurang mempan gitu kalau buat standar zaman sekarang. Aku nggak tahu sih obat herbal yang mempan tuh apa aja, cuman yang sering dipakai pas zaman abad pertengahan katanya emang kurang mempan secara garis besar. Tapi ya zaman dulu kan obat-obatan belum dikembangin ya, mereka cuma pakai apa yang mereka tahu gitu, jadi ya mereka pakai itu gitu. Untungnya zaman sekarang sudah berkembang, jadi lebih apa ya, penanggulangan bisa lebih cepat gitu. All I did was stand about his bedside, telling him it would be alright, until his eyes sank into his skull like 2 black stones and his mouth dried out. During that last day, before he died, he might have been a corpse already. He didn't look at me. He didn't speak to me. He just lay in bed with his eyes closed, groaning. I would never wish any ill on my father before, but during those moments, The grave digger squeezes her hands, which are resting upon her black-clad lap, into a fist. She trembles. Then, in a voice throbbing with awful emotions, she says, I wish he would just die. Ya maksudnya ya daripada bapaknya menderita gitu kan, kasihan juga gitu. Jadi mending penderitaannya diakhirin aja kan. Juga sih ya susah sih, sulit sih keadaannya, pasti sedih. Well, based on her anecdote, it does not sound like she had overly long to wait. I wonder if she would consider that a silver lining? No, perhaps not. The grave digger is still shaking. She will not cry, will she? You hope not. Awkwardly, you look at the grave digger. You are not sure how to soothe her, but you know you must make some sort of an effort, even if it is a token one. You shift upon your chair, which feels very cold and hard beneath your thighs. Then, you say, very softly, that you are sorry. It is not much, but it is all you can think of saying. You had thought, initially, that your situation was comparable to that of the grave digger. But now you can see that this is not the case. Her suffering has far outstripped your own. Not that suffering is a competition, of course. Your apology feels inadequate to your ears. Largely because it is, but the gravedigger seems not to mind it. Aduh. She is very big-hearted, that girl. To smile at you so, no matter how foolish you might be. Do you really deserve such kindness? Oh, again, with the apologies. It's alright, like I said. You didn't cause any of this. I'm not upset at you. I'm just recounting what happened, is all. I do wonder, though, why I never felt sick myself. I thought I was going to die, so I would already prepared for the reaper to come and take me away. But maybe he wasn't interested. Maybe he would already satiated his appetite on all the others. Or maybe he thought he would have to leave me alive for practicality's sake. Ya biar ada yang nguburin lah ya. Sulit kalau satu kampung mati gitu kan. Jadi mungkin Grim Reaper-nya kayak ya yang ini ditinggalin lah ya buat nguburin yang lain gitu. With my father gone, who else would tend to the dead? I was the only person left by the end of it all, so I had to bury the people in the village. Dia udah nguburin orang-orang yang sakit tapi masih nggak kena sakitnya loh, hebat banget. They're all resting peacefully now under the earth where the plague can reach them. On the one hand, I'm happy for them. They were able to escape from all their suffering. When I think about all the people I've lost, though, the gravedigger tenses. Then she snips. Gimana ya, nangit? When I think about the kindly washerwoman who helped me scrub the mud and the dirt from my clothes. Aha! So this village did have its fair share of washerwoman after all! It would seem your earlier insistence upon this particular point was not well merit. Ya, tapi udah mending soy bang. Dia senang ada cewek kang suci, cuman cewek kang sucinya juga udah meninggal gitu, gimana dong? Ya maybe she's immune. Kalau zaman modern langsung diteliti itu ceweknya. Iya, zaman dulu juga mungkin diteliti sih, cuman dia kan tinggal sendirian sini kan. Terus orang-orang mungkin orang-orang desa lain juga ngiranya orang-orang desa lain juga meninggal katanya miles and miles kan gak ada orang. Jadi mungkin desa dia kan dekat hutan ya desanya, mungkin dibandingkan desa lain, desa dia lumayan terpencil gitu. Terus orang-orang dari kota mungkin ngecekin gitu kan buat lihat siapa yang masih hidup. Terus ya mungkin yang survivornya pada ngomong gitu, atau orang-orang yang ngecek ke sana pada ngomong udah pada meninggal semua, jadi dia nggak ketahuan, kayaknya gitu sih kayaknya ya. Berteori ini, Eki berteori. And the handsome young farmhands who used to flirt with me, the priest who preached at the church, who told us wonderful tales of paradise, and the children who would skip stones on the lake and play hopscotch in the streets. I can't help but feel so lonely. The gravedigger's eyes begin to shine once she has finished her address with tears, but she does not let them fall. But hey, that's just a theory. Iya bener. Cuman teori. She is being very brave, much more so than you are. Anxiously, you extend a hand towards her, meaning to... What? Give her a hug? You do not know her well enough. Pat her head? That would be infantilizing. Squeeze her hand? Perhaps that could be misconstrued as a romantic overture, and that is the last thing you want. You endured more than your fair share of teasing over that. You sit there a few moments, paralyzed by indecision, as the gravedigger fully suppresses her snipples. In the end, you let your arm drop back to your side. Your hand rests upon your lap, as useful as a damn kindling. Kindling? What is kindling? You do not know what to do with it. You do know that you ought to say something, though, to show that you heard her plight, and that you care. You do not know what this something should be, however. No words could ever console the gravedigger. They would never be enough. They can offer some balm, however, to the bereaved, and so, after a pause just long enough to be awkward, you offer your condolences. What else can you say? Oh, no. The gravedigger replies, wiping a few stray tears away with the back of her arm. It's alright. I've grown used to it, really. Being on my own, I mean. It ain't so bad, really. And I'm not alone now, at least. I've met you. You'll keep me company, won't you? Well, what can you say to that? You aren't close enough to trample this poor girl's hopes, are you? You know full well yourself how awful that feels. You can do nothing but nod. A response which made the girl smile more widely still. That's wonderful. I know you're just a traveler who's passing through, but I can offer you bread and board until you leave. I have food enough and a spare bedroom. I can make it up for you right now. You must be tired of your long journey. Just give me a moment. Ya, dia udah lama kesepian lah, ketemu orang seneng gitu. Apalagi dia satu-satunya di desa kan.
The gravedigger rises to her feet in a flurry of excitement, then retreats. You watch as she departs, a little too eager to please, and frown. The girl's home is a small, humble one, with a low ceiling and slanted walls.
Diajak traveling juga, iya. Ayo kita traveling bareng, Mbak.
He cannot imagine such a small dwelling possessing a spare bedroom.
Atau mungkin dia di desa ini karena merasa banyak kenangan kali ya. Jadi dia masih bertahan di sini, nggak tahu juga.
This so-called spare bedroom is, in all likelihood, the room her father slept in before the plague carried him off. You do not think that you would much like to spend the night in the room of that man. But what choice do you have? You are tired. Wretchedly so. Why? It is all you can do to keep your eyes open.
Hah? Oh, kira keulang lagi.
While you were running through the forest, desperate to escape your pursuer, you had not thought in mind beyond finding some safe sanctuary in which you could recuperate. Now that you have found said sanctuary, it would be unreasonable to find faults with it. You ought to learn to be more thankful for what you have. There are many, many people in the world with less.
Bunyinya serem banget.
You rise and follow the gravedigger once she has finished her preparations to her so-called spare bedroom, which is every bit as cramped as you feared it would be. At least there is a bed, which comes as something of a relief. The rest of these lodgings are so humble that you were expecting a straw pallet.
Save dulu lah, udah lumayan panjang, takut error atau something.
As tired as you might be, you cannot lie to yourself. You have no desire to sleep among the hay like an animal. The sheets of the bed are clean, too, a fact you discern with a cursory glance. So, you will not be expected to sleep upon the sweat-soaked linen of a plague-ridden man after all. Ya udah, ya iyalah pasti diganti. Oh, ya nggak ada autosave kah? Iya nggak ada sih. Dari tadi nggak ada. I don't know. This really is your lucky day. I got you this too, the gravedigger says.
Oh, agak shyly.
I got you this too, the gravedigger says, somewhat shyly, as she hands you a folded gown. Just live in, I thought it might come in handy. Your own clothes are, a little shabby. She can say that again. Your skirt is covered in mud, and the hem is torn and ragged. This nightgown is one of my old ones, so it suffered a bit of wear and tear, but I hope it'll feel alright. It's clean, if nothing else. You accept the nightgown from your benefactress with words of thanks. You want to sound appropriately appreciative, but you cannot mask your fatigue. Weariness overcomes you, and you yawn. A fact the gravedigger does not fail to notice. Oh, begging your pardon, I don't want to keep you. I'll be making myself scarce. If you need anything though, don't hesitate to ask. I'd be happy to help. The gravedigger bows her head to you like a drudge, then hurries up, closing the door behind her with a thud. Tired though you are, you soon find that you rather miss your hostess' company. In the face of her good-natured smiles, you could almost forget all of the hardships you have hitherto endured. In her absence, however, your lodging feels almost unbearably cold and inhospitable. You suppress a shudder, then unclothe yourself. You work as quickly as you are able,
but your fingers are cold and they fumble with the buttons of your blouse. It takes you more time than you would like to complete this endeavor, but you soon have your shirt and your skirt dispensed with. You are too tired to fold them neatly, so you do not bother to fold them at all. Instead, you cast them carelessly upon the floor, as defiant as a sulky child, then pull on your new nightgown. Your hostess' earlier warnings were up enough. It is quite worn, but it fits well enough. It is more comfortable, at least, than your old uniform. You have endured worse. Newly dressed and ready for bed, you loosen your hair from your braids and settle down among the sheets. It is with a sigh you extinguish the weakly flickering candlelight which burns on your bedside, and with another sigh you lay your head upon your pillow. Though physically exhausted, you have to wonder whether you will be able to sleep at all. You can recall your previous dash through the forest in such vivid detail. Your heart is still pounding. That fear has yet to leave you. Perhaps it will never leave you. Your terror was such, it almost feels as though it has suffused itself into your bones, into your very being. But your exhaustion is greater than your world inside is, and soon it claims you. Your eyelids fall shut and your breathing, inevitably, begins to even out. It is not long until you are spiraling through a dark, deep abyss, lost in Morpheus' kingdom. Morpheus siapa? I don't know. But your sleep, despite your wearied state, is not as restorative as you had hoped. Your imagination has always been overactive, even at the conservatoire. I don't know. You were frequently beset by dreams of the most vivid nature. The dreams that you have this night, lying beneath unfamiliar sheets upon an unfamiliar bed, are no less intense than usual. In your dreams, you are back at the conservatoire, the place where this adventure of yours began. You are wearing the crisp white blouse you once discarded, and your grey, unremarkable shirt. Your hair is tied in braids, and your eyes are downturned, forever focused upon your feet. You tried not to look at your classmates, and you thought yourself fortunate if they did not look at you in return. You did not want anybody to notice you. Until that awful winter, that is, where everybody stopped paying attention to you for good. Nobody tried to trip you when you walked past them in the hallways. Nobody, in fact, so much as glanced at you. All of a sudden, there were no malicious whispers, no weak laughter, no pulled hair, and no thrown objects. You were giddy with relief, at first, over this newfound means of tormenting you that your classmates has devised. But this little game, that of complete and utter disregard, continued and on and on and on, as the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer. As the time passed, you began to fret as to the state of your own corporeality. Jadi dia pertamanya dibully gitu kayaknya di sekolah, guys. Terus habis agak lama, orang-orang udah mulai nggak peduliin dia lagi. Beneran nggak ada orang yang ngeliat ke dia, nggak ada yang ngepeduliin, ngajak ngomong nggak ada. Jadi dia kayak apa sih, krisis gitulah, kayak mikir apa aku ini bener ada karena aku nggak dipeduliin gitu. Jadi dia mungkin ngerasa lebih kesepian daripada pas dia dibully. Mungkin emang dibully ya tidak benar ya. Aku tidak mengkondom pemberontakan seperti itu, cuman mungkin bagi dia ya, karena dia kesepian gitu kan, orang tuanya juga nggak peduli gitu sama dia. Lihat orang ada yang peduliin dia walaupun negatif, mungkin dia merasa kayak masih ngerasa kalau dia tuh ada gitu kan di dunia. She's still alive gitu kan. Cuman Pas orang-orang udah mulai nggak peduli sama dia jadi mempertanyakan gitu kan, aku nih hidup nggak sih gitu kan. Jadi berteori sekali ya aku main game ini.
Could anybody still see you? Did you even exist at all? Then, at long last, you found it, quite by accident, the source of all your woes. One of the girls had erected it in the forest through which you were sometimes bidden to jog for PE class, beneath the shade cast by an old oak tree. It was the makeshift tombstone, a small meager monument made of stone, upon which one of your classmates had hewn a name.
Nama dia sih.
Your name. You knew at once, as you stood there, standing beneath the shade of that ancient tree, that it was the reason behind your classmate's silence.
Oh, jadi dia meninggal. Jadi dia udah mati, cuman dia ngerasa masih hidup gitu, iya kah? What is happening?
That was why they had, for many months, been ignoring you so assiduously. They had buried you. In their hearts, you had already died. What? Your eerie dreams notwithstanding.
Ini mimpi doang apa kenyataan?
Your eerie dreams notwithstanding, you sleep more comfortably than you had anticipated. When you awake the following morning to the sweet chirping of birdsong, you feel well rested, albeit woozy. Your head is aching. It is nothing, however, that a cup of hot tea cannot fix. You stumble into the kitchen in your nightclothes, your hair loose and your feet bare, and the gravedigger turns to you.
Kita bahkan nggak tahu nama si gravediggernya tuh. Apakah ini ketemu sama cewek yang udah mati juga di afterlife? Nah, nggak tahu itu. Apakah mereka sama-sama arwah gentayangan? We don't know.
She looks at your face, which is pasty, and your under eyes, which are dark, and exclaims, in the manner of one accustomed to solving problems, not complaining about them, "Oh, you look awful. I think you need something warm to drink, and maybe something to eat too. Let me get started on breakfast." And that is exactly what she does. She gets started on breakfast, which proves to be quite the simple affair. Nothing like the luxurious food you were accustomed to in your past life. The bread is hard enough to break your teeth on, and the cheese is a bit too strong.
Bikin sendiri soalnya dia.
It is food all the same though, and you do not complain. Your stomach was beginning to grumble. The tea is inoffensive at least, and you drink it gratefully. You thank the gravedigger girl for her hospitality, and she smiles at you in return, a sunny smile, like a field of blooming bellflowers.
It's no problem. Don't hesitate to ask me if you need anything else, she says.
Words which come to symbolize your relationship. You stay with the gravedigger for many, many more days, and limited though her means might be, she always tries to help you. The gravedigger sets you chores about the house to keep you occupied, a fact for which you are grateful. You need to do something to keep your mind off your frantic flight through the forest. You can almost forget about it now during the day. During the night, however, it returns to you, the sound of your feet against the foliage and the swirling fog. When you sleep, you are assailed by nightmares. Sometimes you awake after midnight, the sheets twisted around your body and your mouth gaping open in a paroxysm of terror.
Paroxysm itu adalah kata-kata baru juga.
So you try to tell yourself otherwise, you are still afraid. Being with the gravedigger makes you feel less so, though. Particularly when you are sweeping the floor or keeping an eye on the bread loaves so they do not burn.
You attend to most of the domestic chores, while the grave digger concerns herself with the work she knows best, that is, digging graves. Tapi dia ngapain gali kubur lagi kalau udah nggak ada orang buat dikubur, atau orang yang dikuburnya belum selesai, jadi masih banyak yang harus dikuburin. Her dog persistence when it comes to this pursuit intrigues you. So much so that you cannot help but posit a question to her on one particular morning, when the sky festooned with clouds. Why, you ask her, perhaps touched insensitively, do you continue to dig graves? There is nobody left, after all, to dig the bore. You have always been practical, and you cannot see the point in it. What's the point in it? The grave digger ponders, while holding her precious shovel to her chest. Fortunately, she does not seem upset by your question, despite its bluntness. You should count yourself lucky her temperament is so very placid. I don't suppose there is any point to it, really? The grave digger eventually says, with a small smile. I know it doesn't have any practical purpose, but, well, digging graves is what my father did. He showed me how to do it so I could continue his legacy. My father wanted to keep our family tradition going. And I suppose I want to do the same. That's all there is to it, really. That's all? Is it? You think you can understand that? Agak aneh, tapi oke lah. Oke lah, bang. To your companion's actions might appear to be illogical, there is a kernel of reason nestled amongst them. She does not dig graves out of any sense of purpose. She does it, instead, out of sentiments. Besides, I have to do something to keep myself busy, don't I? If I spend my days idling, all on my own, I think I'd go mad. The gravedigger laughs at this, as thought the prospect of her own madness is amusing. Her laugh, despite her slender stature, is not particularly delicate. It reminds you perhaps unkindly of the braying of a horse. Gitu kah? Nih, enggak nih. Gitu. Gitu, nggak tahu. Jadi gali lubang, tutup lubang secara harfiah. Technically yes, cuman dia nggak bilang dia nutup lubangnya lagi sih, cuman dibilang gali. You are ashamed of thinking such a thing though, and your face blushes with the guilt of it. You cannot all be well-bred young ladies, you know? Still. The laughter of the gravedigger, as it echoes through the grey, gloomy sky, is strangely desperate. It sounds forced. Her smile, too, is a touch unnatural, the rictus grin of a corpse. You find, despite your attempts to return her laughter with a polite giggle, that you cannot help but pity her. You retreat indoors briefly after your talk with the gravedigger, then set about some simple chores. The gravedigger trusts you well enough to manage sweeping the floor, a task which does not take particularly long, and preparing the meal, a task which takes slightly longer. It is not until much later, however, once the sun has already sunk beneath the horizon and the moon is high in the sky, that the gravedigger returns from the outdoors. She is windswept after many hours spent exposed to the elements, and there is dirt cakes beneath her fingernails. The gravedigger removes her cloak, which she hangs by the door, then looks at the pot suspended upon the fire, a fire which you stoke with your own bare hands. The scent of cooking food, that of garlic and onions, fills the air, suffusing the interior of the kitchen in a homey aroma which makes your stomach rumble. Taking stock of this, the gravedigger smiles at you, a tootly smile which, despite her status as a lowly peasant, is surprisingly clean and bright and white. Giginya putih bersinar. Rajin sikat gigi dia, guys. Thank you so much, dear one. There's nothing like returning home after a hard day's work to find dinner already prepared. Now, let me give it a test. The gravedigger dips a spoon into the soup, then brings it to her lips. She blows upon it. Then she places the spoon into her mouth, the wooden utensil clacking against her teeth. You observe this with a touch of anxiety. Will she like the food which you have prepared for her? You have cooked for her before, in the past, and she was always very complimentary of your effort. Cooking is not your forte, however. You never had to concern yourself with it, really, growing up in relative comfort as you did. You think that you enjoy this rural, rustic mode of existence more than you did any of the privileges of your past life. At least now, with the gravedigger, you have a steadfast friend, a staunch ally. When you are with her, you are not alone, and that is worth its weight in gold. The gravedigger exclaims, after drawing the spoon from her lips, her smile a bright, guileless one. It's delicious. Your face flushes at this compliment. You are unaccustomed to receiving them. It makes you feel good. Oh iya, Sep, jangan lupa ya, Sep lagi. Harus rajin, Sep, guys. Shyly, you ask the gravedigger if she truly means that, a query which makes the gravedigger smile. Of course I mean it. You've become quite good at cooking, really. That is a relief. You were not very good at all of this cooking malarkey in the beginning. Malarkey. You did not know how to handle a knife nor how to peel a vegetable, and you cut yourself more than once. You bled into the soup on several occasions, but never once did you throw the solid soup out. The gravedigger lives a humble existence, and she cannot afford to waste her precious ingredients. Your soups, during your stay, have all been seasoned with the slightest hint of iron. Today's soup, however, is the marked step above all the rest. You did not cut yourself with a knife even once. Maybe your companion's compliments are not empty fluff. Maybe you really are improving. This soup should be ready to serve. I have some bread too, that we can eat it with. But oh, I should brew some tea too. Let me. Ah yes, the tea. You knew that you were forgetting something. You were so focused on the soup, it must have slipped your mind. Your face flushes yet again at this oversight, and shyly, you offer to correct this oversight. The gravedigger, however, waves your request aside. No, it's alright. You made the dinner, so I'll brew the tea. It's only fair, and it won't take all that long. Would you mind serving this soup while I'm busy? Of course you would not mind. You do enjoy making yourself useful. For a lady, you are awfully domestic. You work alongside the gravedigger to finish your nightly meal, and together, you serve it. Soup and bread, alongside 2 cups of piping hot tea, prepared by your hostess on 2 hands. Sangat domestic sekali ya, feelnya sangat comfy itu, wholesome. You sit together at the table, then partake in the simple fare. After saying grace, the soup really is quite good, despite it being made from only the most commonplace of ingredients. There is a bit of kick to it, and it warms you from the inside out. The tea, meanwhile, is very soothing, so much so it makes you feel rather sleepy. You would like to sit with the gravedigger for a little longer and tell stories, as you have sometimes in the past. That or play cards. The nights are long, and there is no better way to pass them than spending time with her. Games, old maid, alas, they'll have to wait. You are too tired for it. You do not know what has happened, but after consuming your victuals, you feel utterly fatigued. Wah, apa dikasih obat tidur nih? Takut guys, save lagi. You explain your predicament to the gravedigger between your yawns, and she nods in response. That's alright. You don't need to stay up with me. Not if you ain't up to it. You should head up to bed and rest that pretty head of yours. You do not think you are particularly pretty, but you presume that the gravedigger is just regurgitating a praise to you. She does not really mean it. Ouch. How could she? She is far prettier than you are. You oh, kok cute and wholesome. I sense a danger ahead. Iya nih. Sebenarnya sudah mulai keluar kan dirinya nih. You thank the gravedigger for her understanding, then rise from the table. Udah wholesome ya tadi guys ya. Udah sangat lucu gitu kan, tinggal bareng orang-orang kesepian gitu kan. Terus tiba-tiba, something is sus. You thank the gravedigger for her understanding, then rise from the table. Suara pintunya tuh serem banget loh, kayak. You retreat to the spare bedroom on trembling legs, then change out of your clothes. You have only just slid into your nightgown when you hear the rapping of knuckles upon your door. Like and unobtrusive. This rapping could, of course, belong to but one person. It is the gravedigger, come to check up on you. I'm sorry, the gravedigger says, her voice soft, but you rush to your room as so soon after eating. I couldn't help but worry about you. Would you mind if I took a look at you? I just want to see if you're alright. The gravedigger is trying to keep her voice steady, but you can hear it wavering regardless. She really does sound concerned, so much so, she could very well be on the brink of tears. You do not want her to cry for you. You would feel horribly guilty if you upset her, even inadvertently, given all that she has done for you. You bid the gravedigger entry into your room, therefore, without further delay, an invitation she hastens to take. The door swings inward with a creak, and there your hostess stands, still attired in black, her clothes a stark contrast to your pure white, well, up-white nightgown. The gravedigger looks at you, seated in bed with your hair freed from usual braids, and exhales. Is that relief, you wonder, playing about her face? But why? What was she expecting to see, exactly, before entering your bedchamber? Thank you for letting me in, the gravedigger says, toying with her fingers. How do you feel? Not too terrible, you reassure her. There are no particular problems with your health. You just feel tired. Are you sure you're not sick? Your face does look a bit pale. There would be nothing out of norm. You are always pale. True. Now, is there anything I can do for you? Would you like something warm to drink, or maybe a hot drink to place in your bed? It should keep you warm. You appreciate your hostess' thoughtfulness, but you reassure her that this won't be necessary. You will be fine. I hope so. I thought that about my father too, before he... The gravedigger begins, but her voice soon trails off. She does not finish that thought. She does not need to. You know, now what she was thinking of before she entered your bedroom. Cold, clammy skin, a sweating brow, rank, oozing pustules. You think upon these symptoms, which are eerily similar to those recounted during the Great Plague which once beset your own country, and you shudder. If you don't want anything, then I'll be on my way, the gravedigger says. But before that... This was just a fancy on my part, but I was wondering, would you mind if I brush your hair for a little while? Your hair? That's right, It's such a pretty shade of red, is all. I just thought, well, it's just so fancy, really. You don't have to let me, not if you don't want to, but I thought it might help you relax if you're feeling under the weather. I've heard it's supposed to be soothing. That is what the gravedigger says, but you have the distinct feeling that she is the one looking for solace here. She is not quite so selfless, perhaps, as she would like you to think. Ntar kram. But she has been so very good to you, and has done so very much for you, that you do not want to begrudge her this self-indulgence. You rather think she deserves it. You agree, therefore, to her request, and upon doing so, you are certain you have made the right choice. Your hostess face lights up immediately, in a manner which makes you blush. Oh, thank you! It would be my honor. Now, let me fetch my brush. The gravedigger retreats from your room in a hurry, but returns soon thereafter, holding in her right hand the promised brush. This artifact acquired, the gravedigger then settles herself upon your bed, by your side. She looks at your hair for a few moments, her expression pensive. Then, she announces that she will begin. The gravedigger leans in. The wooden frame of the bed creaks under her weight, a creak which melts with the sighing of the breeze outdoor. You can feel the bristles of the brush running through your hair. It is soothing enough, so much so, it makes you shiver. The sensation is a pleasant one, and somewhat nostalgic. Did your mother do this for you, you wonder, when you were a little girl? If she did, it must have been when you were a very little girl. You have not seen your mother in quite some time, not after you enrolled at the conservatoire. Oh, you have such lovely hair, dear one. It's soft, just like silk. Not at all like mine. Mine is so coarse. This gentle voice draws you out of your vague, half-formed reminiscence. It sounds as though the gravedigger is lost in the nostalgia of her own, because her voice, when next she speaks, is dreamy. I think my mother used to brush my hair like this. For me, like when she was still alive. That must have been a long time ago, though. It is funny, you think, as the bristle of the brush continues to slide through your tresses, that you and the gravedigger should both be reminiscing in tandem about your respective mothers. Perhaps there is something maternal in the act of brushing one's hair, which is wont to summoning forth such images. I would not know, personally. I cannot remember my own mother at all. Naratornya siapa ini? Kenapa? Narator yang ngomongin emaknya juga. I don't think I like having my brush hair. My brush hair. I don't think I like having my hair brushed very much. The gravedigger continues, her breath warm against the exposed nape of your neck. My mother used to complain that I squirmed too much. I can remember that. She always told me to sit still, though it wasn't my fault I squirmed. She used too much force. Now this is curious. It sounds as though the reminiscences of the gravedigger are not particularly fond, after all. Did she not get along well with her mother? I can rightly say, the gravedigger replies in a somber sort of a voice. I was young, like I said, when she died. I really don't remember her too well. But I don't think she ever had that much time for me. She was too busy with all of the cooking and the cleaning. Oh, and looking after my baby brothers. But she had time enough, despite that, to brush your hair. She did what she felt she had to make me look presentable. Not that it really worked. I wasn't like the other girls in the village, see? Who like to sit indoors with their mothers and sew. I would always love the outdoors. My father said my father said I inherited that from him. Ruefully, the gravedigger smiled. Not that you can see it with you see it with you back facing her. My mother said I wasn't very, well, maidenly. She didn't like that I always traipsed around outside after my father, watching as he dug grapes. She said it wasn't appropriate, like I was some sort of princess wearing a fine dress. The grave digger snorted. I used to get a bit muddy, yes, and maybe I did get burrs in my clothes and knots in my hairs, but it shouldn't have mattered. It's not like I ever had any hopes of marrying a prince, no matter what my mother said. But still, she hoped. She had a lot of hopes, my mother. High hopes. Ya, kecuali di dongeng sebenarnya. Zaman dulu mau nikahin pangeran susah ya. Kecuali dia jadi raja terus ngangkat kaum jadi selir baru bisa. Cuman kalau jadi di permaisuri sepertinya tidak ya. Logically speaking. Tapi ya namanya juga orang biasa gitu kan, berharap ya hidup enak lah ya, anaknya hidup enak, mereka bisa hidup enak juga. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I think she might have resented my father, maybe, for working such a menial job. Our profession is an honest one, but it's never made much money. Ya soalnya dapat duitnya kalau ada yang meninggal. I think my mother was hoping for fine jewels and dresses and I don't know. She always had ideas. Her head was full of fairy tales. It was a shame, I suppose, that her reality didn't match up to what she wanted. I didn't match up to what she wanted. The bitterness in your friend's voice is unmistakable. So much so, you want to console her. What would you say to her, though? You never met your companion's mother. You never will, either. Her cold, inert body has been lying in the graveyard, buried beneath a tombstone, for over a decade. You have no way of ascertaining whether your companion's mother truly cared for her. You do have intelligence enough, however, to understand that poorly thought out condolences can cause more harm than good. You would not like it if people tried to reassure you that of course your father loved you really. If he loved you, then why did he send you away from home? Why did he never send you any letters? You know he was worried about finances, but that seems a poor excuse to pretend that his only daughter did not exist. Anak sepatawayang dong. As for your own mother, meanwhile, she was nice, at least you'd think she was, but she was woefully ineffectual. Though she was nominally an adult, she always cleaved before your father's judgment. Jadi ibunya tidak banyak bicara ya, ngikutin kata-kata bapaknya aja. You'd think that she was afraid of him. You do not try to tell the gravedigger, therefore, that her mother loved her, as she must have done, else she would not have given birth to her. Instead, you sit there, letting the brush run through your hair, and you say quietly that you understand. Sometimes you feel like a disappointment yourself. Well, the gravedigger says after a pause, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I guess it happens to all of us. I guess so. Parents are only people, after all. While one would hope one's parents would be kind and attentive, they too can fall victim to caprices of their own. Just because one has brought a child into this world, it does not mean one will be able to take care of it properly. Not all parents are responsible, just as not all people are responsible. Sangat itu ya. Sangat dark ya, deep ya, deep.
It is a painful subject.
Oh well, it's alright if my mother never liked me, or even if she never loved me. I know my father did, and that's all that matters. He was always there for me, no matter what.
Your companion's voice catches in her throat. She winches.
At least, until he wasn't. He died. And I didn't do a thing to help him. Damn, this got real for a while. Iya, jadi itu real, yes. Bener.
Your companion's shoulders are beginning to shake. You still cannot see her, but you can feel her body convulsing. You can sense her loneliness rolling up her in waves. It is all-consuming, like the waters of a deep, dark ocean. Grief anew pierces your heart, not on your behalf, but for the sake of your benefactress. She does not deserve to suffer so much. This, you have no qualms with telling her. You turn to face her and pluck the brush that has been hovering in the air, inert from her fingers. Then, you let her know that her father's death was not her fault.
Bentar guys. Aku kembali.
What could she have done? She could not have cured his illness.
I know. Aduh, bentar cek aku tadi habis makan sambal terus angkut tenggorokan, ntar ya. Aku minum dulu lagi. I'm back again. Masih agak nyangkut tapi nggak apa-apa. I know, but I can't help but think. What if? I keep racking my head over and over, trying to come up with something. But I can't think of anything. And even if I could, it's too late. He's already dead. He's dead and buried. I buried him, and now I'm all alone.
She might have been alone, you tell the gravedigger, but she isn't now. Not anymore. How can she be when you are there?
I know that. I know, and I'm grateful. But I don't know if I deserve it.
Why would she not deserve your company? You do not understand.
Because I couldn't do nothing for nobody. Gimana nambahnya? Because I couldn't do nothing for nobody. My father always looked out for me when I was a little girl. But when he needed me the most, I failed him. I failed everyone. All of the villagers, all of my friends, all died. What would I do if the same thing happened to you? I don't think I could bear it. I don't want you getting sick too. Not when I care about you so much. I thought I would gotten used to being on my own. And now that you're here, it's making me worry all over again. I've been worrying so much I can't sleep from it. I'm scared. Your companion's voice catches in her throat. Then she collapses in on herself. She leans forward, her arms wound about her middle, as if to steady herself, and she cries. She cries and she cries and she cries. For a few moments, you look at the gravedigger, unsure of what to do. Her pale face, streaked with silvery tears, seems to flicker in the candlelight. Her shoulders, which seems too slender to bear the accumulative weight of all the sorrows she has entered, are shaking. Your fatigue continues to cling to you, as insistent as the fog, which rolls amongst the tombstones in the graveyard at night. You are not so very tired, however. You cannot offer your hostess some comfort. You do not know what you can say to console her. You feel too weary to think of pretty sophism, but there is something you can think of. You would not typically be so bold, of course, but you are tired enough for once to throw caution to the wind. That and the tears of the gravediggers are awfully arresting. Anjay, berpelukan. You open your arms and, before the gravedigger can pass comment, you pull her to your chest. Oh! A sob exclamation escapes the lips of the gravedigger, quieter than the sound of winter snow as it brushes the ground. Iya, beneran wholesome domestic experience ini. Then, there is nothing. The gravedigger is deep in your arms for a few moments, like the corpses she and her father used to seal away inside their wooden coffins. She is all white eyes and awkward, pointed elbows, tears still coursing down her pale cheeks. You worry briefly, as you hold her, that you have, perhaps, made a mistake. Were your attempts at consoling her too clumsy? You would not know. You have never been in a situation like this before. You have never consoled any friends before, because you have never had any friends to console. It is not so now, however. You are as far away from your old life as it is possible to be, and the gravedigger does not curse you for your impudence. Neither does she try to squirm away from you. Instead, she sits there, still as a statue, cradled in your arms. Oh, I'm very sorry to show you something so embarrassing. I get so lonely sometimes. Until, at long last, with a breath sob, she lets the full weight of her body falls against yours. You run your hands against your sobbing companion's shoulder blades and her back, and gently you soothe her. You tell her that she does not need to apologize. There is no shame in crying. You hug her for many, many minutes while she sobs against your chest, wetting the front of your nightgown. No further words pass between you that night, but they do not need to. Words are irrelevant in a moment as tender as this, shared between two souls who have come to understand one another through mutual loneliness. You slide beneath your sheets. You still feel exhausted, and the gravedigger joins you without asking for permission. It would be a necessary piece of politeness, really, given your acceptance is all but assured. You have already accepted the gravedigger, after all, every single inch of her. Oh anjay, mari kita snap dulu ya guys. You have accepted her hospitality. You have accepted her food. Now you are accepting her company. You arrange yourself beneath the sheets, then draw her body to yours. The grave digger has not yet changed into her nightwear. Her clothes will be horribly rumpled when she awakes to the following morning, her head resting against her chest. Dia belum mandi guys, dari kuburan, ganti baju juga. But tomorrow has ceased to matter. It no longer exists. There is no concept of time between the two of you. No thought of the day which will dawn once his night inevitably ends. Instead, there is only the warmth shared between you and the wetness on the cheeks of the grave digger. There is the sound, irregular now and less intense than before, of your companion's muted, muffled sobs. There is this gentle, tender moment, snatched in the midst of the deep, dark night, which can never be replaced. Tidur. Your eyelids feel heavy, as thought weighted down with stones. They droop inexorably downwards, pulling you like a drowning maiden into the dark, impenetrable abyss of slumber. You yawn. Then you fall asleep, coiled up beside the grave digger like two cats in a basket. You sleep and you sleep and you sleep, more deeply than you have allowed yourself in quite some time. Eh? Apa nih? What is happening? What is happening? But when you wake, you find that you are no longer in the bed upon which you slept in, shrouded by sheets. The grave digger too is nowhere to be seen. Suara napasnya kenceng banget. Terus bajunya jadi baju seragam lagi guys, bukan baju itu nightgown. Tadi kita kan pakai nightgown kan. Instead, you are quite alone, lying by yourself in the dark. Oh no, iya kan, what is happening? I don't know. You blink, but your surroundings do not become any clearer. Is it the middle of the night? Perhaps you were roused from your slumber by the desire to relieve yourself, or else to slake your thirst. Your sleep has been awfully disordered as of late, and the smells of noises have been enough to disturb you. That does not sound quite right, though. You slept well. Of that you are certain. Your body feels invigorated. I thought it was... Aduh, bentar. I thought it has slumbered for hours and hours. How many hours? You do not know. You do not know much of anything. You can feel a strange pinching sensation around your chest, however, and around your arms. It would appear as though somebody, but who else could have been, save the gravedigger, changed your attire while you were sleeping. That is a startling thought, but the darkness which entombs you is even more so. The darkness which surrounds you is unsettlingly complete. It is so thick you cannot penetrate it. Your newfound woes do not stop, however, at this deep, unnatural darkness. It is cold too, and you are lying upon something hard. Some sort of a stone slab? Kita kembali ke realita kah, di mana kita dikubur hidup-hidup sama teman kita? What is going on? You reach out, but your movements are so stymied. Stymied apa? There is something heavy lying atop you. Something that is limiting your movements. You were anxious before, upon awaking, but at this discovery, you feel downright aggrieved. A sharp wrong of panic pierces you, but you try to suppress it. Hysterics will get you nowhere. In most cases, they only tend to make bad situations even worse. You ought to know that already. You swallow your mounting dread as fast as you can, till it is coming on thick and fast, and try to squirm. You move your arms outwards, but they do not get very far. There is a wall above you, and walls on either side of you. Walls which do not budge no matter how hard you push. Ini kayaknya masuk di Copen deh, iya gak sih? Jadi keinget scene itu di Kill Bill, dia sempat di kubur hidup-hidup juga. Terus habis itu dia keluar dengan teknik mengeluarkan diri, I don't know.
No, I must add that you can push particularly hard, your anxious state notwithstanding. You have never had much in the way of upper body strength, nor lower body strength. You do not have much in the way of strength at all. You feel quite helpless as you lie there, out of breath from your meager exertions, unsure of what you should do. You can hardly see a foot in front of your face.
Oh ya, yang dikubur ya udah pakai teknik ekspansinya buat keluar, iya. Sayangnya si MC-nya tidak belajar itu one in punch ya. Sayang sekali.
You do not know where you are, nor why, but a terrible premonition is beginning to bear down upon you, one which, initially, you tried to discard. You did not want to accept it as a possibility, but where else could the truth lie? You are lying in a box, hemmed in by walls which open only a scant few inches for you to stretch in any direction. Where else could you be but a coffin? The moment you allow yourself to ponder this awful reality is the moment you hear it, the irregular sound of drumming. It is as though somebody, though they must be a very large somebody, is tapping their fingertips upon the lid of your coffin. That, or it is raining. It is not the fingers of a giantess though, which is disturbing you, nor is it falling rain. It is dirt.
Baru dikubur berarti.
The sound continues on and on, as thought it is drilling its way inside our skulls. It is relentless. It is merciless. Like the ticking of a great celestial clock, it cannot be stopped. Your time is almost running out. But you knew that already, didn't you? When you were running through the forest? You ought to have known, silly thing, that you could not outpace your destiny forever. Sooner or later, it would catch up to you. You are stubborn though, and do not want to accept this. Not content to simply lie there, you cry out. You cry not for your parents, whom you hardly knew, nor for your school friends, for you never had any. Instead, you cry out for your new companion, the girl with whom you had been living, and with whom you shared one precious, cherished moment. You cry out for the grave digger. Nama dia siapa?
Grave digger gitu teriak.
Surely this is some manner of mistake? Once you realize that you are, in fact, entombed in one of the coffins she is currently filling, for who else would be moving the dirt above you? She will cease her operations at once. She will pull you out of the darkness, back into the world of living, and then she will hold you close. She will embrace you. She cannot mean to cause you any harm, not when she was so good to you, and so kind. Why would she bury you? You cry to her so loudly you fear your vocal cords might tear, all while banging against the roof of your compact prison.
Grave digger! Grave digger!
You cry desperately, helplessly, and to your relief, your cries do not fall upon deaf ears. The sound of the falling soil stops, albeit briefly. Then you hear a voice. The voice is very faint, given it's being filtered through your coffin's sturdy lid, but you recognize it.
So, gimana ya suaranya dari coffin?
So, you're awake then. So, you're awake then, are you, dear one? The grave digger says. She sighed. Then, she says in a perplexed sort of voice,
Now that is so fickle. I was hoping you'd be asleep a couple hours more, so the last time we spoke could have been on better terms. If you keep screaming like that, I'm going to feel bad.
Your companion's words, so distant, are unmistakable. You are so tense. You are attuned to every single syllable, and each of them makes you grasp. Was this not a mistake then? Does she truly mean to bury you alive? You proceed this question to the gravedigger as best as you can.
Dia baik banget yang balikan baju kita terus rambutnya dikuncir juga sama dia. Kalau tadi pas tidur nggak dikuncir, guys.
Trying to keep the tremors from your voice as you do. Perhaps you think, in your optimism, that if you don't let her know how afraid you are, she will reward you for your bravery and let you go. If this is what you are hoping though, it is in vain.
That's right. You really do catch on quick.
So it appears she has really committed to the task of burying you. What an unfortunate turn of events. Why though would she do such thing? You thought that she was your friend.
We are friends.
The gravedigger says. Her voice is still worryingly offhand, worryingly empty.
I'm very fond of you. There's nobody dearer to me than you. I've had really good time with you this last... How long has it been again? I don't remember.
Neither do you. Well, if this little detail had slipped both of your minds, it can't be all that important. You have other things to worry about. If you really are friends, you say to the gravedigger, then what does she hope to gain by burying you? You do not understand, but you understand her reply even less.
Well, here's the thing.
The gravedigger says in a reasonable sort of a voice, as though burying somebody alive could ever be thought of as a reasonable action.
I've been digging graves for a long time, see?
You cannot see, it is too dark, but you affirm that you do all the same.
Well, I was digging all these graves, but I have not had anybody to put them on in. Not for ages. It was rather sad.
Sebuah pemikiran. Bener berarti tadi dia gali lubang kan nutup lubang karena nggak ada yang buat dimasukin. You think you know where this train of logic, twisted thought it is, might be going, so you do not interrupt her. You know no good would come of it. All you can do for the present is lie there and listen.
I was thinking I would never find another person to bury in this godforsaken village. Not after the plague messed everything up.
So she's crazy. Yes, she is very crazy indeed.
I was getting desperate. Until it came along, that is. Now that I have somebody I can bury, I'm not gonna let the opportunity pass me by. I'm sorry, but this is just part of my job. It's what my father taught me to do. It's all I know how to do. I buried my mother and I buried my father. I buried all of my friends. Now I'm going to bury you too.
It is sound logic, in a sense. As the daughter of a gravedigger, digging graves is her job, but something about it rankles you. If only you could put your finger on it. Ah, yes. There is a bit of a flaw with her reasoning, is there not? You are not dead, after all.
You might not be dead now,
the gravedigger says, in response to your ingenuity.
But you will be, if given enough time. I mean, everybody else I've ever known's died. Who's to say you wouldn't be next?
It seems rather more likely that you will die, and quickly, if she persists with her poorly thought out plan to bury you. Your coven is not very large, it affords you precious little space. Ya nggak salah sih, ya nggak salah, cuman nggak bener. Eventually, if trapped within it for long enough, you will run out of oxygen, then you will suffocate.
that or you will starve to death. Either way, your demise will be a slow, painful one. You are unsure which death would be worse, though. Given how precarious your situation is, you do not wish to expend the necessary energy needed to ponder it. You need to plead with the gravedigger, and quickly, while she is still here. You tell her, tearfully, that you would not leave her. Why would you? You try to sound as convincing as your disordered nerves will allow, but the gravedigger remains unmoved. Sangat itu ya dia. You say that, she says, but how can I know you're telling the truth? I thought you said you were a traveler. They never stay put in one place for long. You'd get sick of me before long, then you'd leave me. This way, at least, I can be assured that we'll always stay together. If I bury you like I did the others, we'll never be apart. I even took care to put you in a nice spot, close to my home. Thus you're only a stone's throw away, really. Isn't that nice? Privately, you'd think that the gravedigger has a different conception of the word nice to you. You do not say this, however. You cannot say much of anything because the panic has begun to set in. It is choking you, stopping up your throat so you can only cry. You scream, you beg and you plead, but it does little good. The gravedigger has already buried her mother. She has already buried her little brothers. She has even buried her father, whom she loved above all else. She thinks, by burying you, she is doing unto you an act of great kindness. You think that she is going to kill you. In a sense, you are both right. Your opinions are so diametrically opposed on this matter, however, that you will never be able to find any common ground. You might as well save your screaming. She will not listen to you. She is beyond listening. Shush, shush, dear one. You wanna shh, 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 shh. Dear one, says the gravedigger very gently, just as gently as he spoke last night. Oh, berarti, shh, dear one, says the gravedigger very gently, just as she spoke last night. When she confided in you all of her fears. It won't be so bad, really. Nothing will be able to hurt you down there. It will be just like going to sleep for a really, really long time. You can rest, and while you rest, I'll tend to you. I'll plant flowers on your grave. You would like that, wouldn't you? This way, we can always be together. And I'll never be lonely again. While the gravedigger speaks, she begins to pile even more soil onto the roof of your coffin. The sound of dirt on top of you, on your arms, your leg, and your head, conceals your companion's final words. You cannot hear her. You cannot hear anything beyond the sounds of the dirt and the scrapings of the shovel and your own desperate, frantic screams. You scream and you scream and you scream without cease until your throat feels hoarse, but your efforts are in vain. You hammer on the lid of the coffin with as much strength as you can muster, but the lid of the coffin is nailed shut. You are in no position to remove it. All you can do is lie there, screaming and crying and banging your fist on the roof of the coffin, over and over, as more dirt and debris falls on top of you. Eventually, enough dirt falls on you to stifle your screams for good. The gravedigger can no longer hear you, and you can no longer hear her. You are all alone, trapped in a narrow wooden box which, regardless of what you want, is now your new home. You can smell the soil in the back of your nostrils when you inhale. Ada suara napas. It is so potent, you can taste it on your tongue. You can taste the eventual, inevitable decay of your own body. You will remain trapped here, underground, forever and never. Or, to use less melodramatic terms, until the last of your energy escapes you and you succumb to your own slow suffocation. It isn't a very pleasant way to go, but you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know? You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Mana ya? Ini aja. Nggak bisa lebih banyak lagi ya, Seven? Bisa. No, what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace? Or will you try to fight against it? Fight? Fight against your fate? Are you not happy with the hand that fate has dealt you? Of course not. Very well, I cannot blame you. It is quite a grim ending, and I would not wish it upon my worst enemy, and you are rather dear to me than that. Now, why don't we give this another go? Just try not to be buried alive this time. I can only endure so much of your screaming. Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Oh gitu. Oh gitu. Bentar. Coba ya kita save sini. Terus kita load yang tadi. Kalau misalnya accept your fate jadi apa? Accept your fate. Very well then. Enjoy your eternal slumber. I suppose this is good night for now, but it is not goodbye. You cannot escape from me, even if you are buried deep in the earth. Where there is a will, there is a way. And even if the whole world had forsaken you, I never will. I will never leave you. Apa nih? You will never be lonely again. It gets so lonely here. Yay. Satu rute dulu ya, udah hampir 3 jam. Oh my god, pegel. Au, tulangku bunyi. Oke, jadi buat rutenya Grave Digger sampai situ. Oke, so the narrator is someone nih ya. Naratornya adalah seseorang. Jadi orang yang ngejar kita adalah cewek yang kita datengin sebelumnya. Jadi nggak tahu. Kalau misalnya kita udah dapat semua rute, terus apa yang terjadi? Aku nggak tahu sih. Untungnya rutenya nggak harus diulang dari awal banget gitu kan, narasinya nggak harus diulang dari awal terus kita skip dan lain-lain. Dia tetap lanjut gitu kan ceritanya. Jadi ya oke lah. Yeay, tamat satu rute. Jadi penasaran endingnya apa ya? Nggak ditulis sih endingnya ada apa aja. Tulisannya ya cuman itu 3 exciting ways to die. Menarik. Oke, jadi sekian buat hari ini. Semoga streamnya menyenangkan, semoga teorinya Eki menyenangkan. Ternyata teorinya salah semua sepertinya, I don't know. Tapi lumayan lah menyenangkan lah, sama hal-hal lain yang kita bahas kayak soal zaman segala macam tadi juga menarik. Apalagi ya, jangan lupa buat like dan subscribe. Jangan lupa juga buat follow Twitternya Eki sama TikToknya Eki. Terus buat anak-anak ONEIRO lainnya jangan lupa juga di follow dan subscribe. Linknya ada di bawah walau belum update, tapi banget update-nya. Terus Kalau mau ngobrol sama Eki boleh banget buat join ke Discordnya ONEIRO. Jangan lupa linknya ada di deskripsi juga. Makasih buat yang udah datang, makasih yang udah nemenin sama Barato tadi dari awal sampai akhir ya. Gokil banget, thank you udah nemenin. Terus apa lagi? Ya makasih yang udah datang udah nemenin. Sekian dulu dari Eki. Sampai berjumpa di stream selanjutnya. Wih. Kita matikan dulu audionya. Balik ke BGM. Lalu kita ke loading screen. Bye bye. Thank you.